How is wine from Bordeaux like the Beatles? And with 6,000 chateaux in the region of Bordeaux, how in the world do you go about picking one when you're looking at a restaurant wine list or in a wine shop? The answers to both of those coming up next. Bonjour and welcome to Wine This Week with Scott Leek. As you can see in this week's episode, I'm already breaking two of my key rules. Number one, Bordeaux is a region. It is not a varietal. It is made up of multiple varietals. Number two, I'm two-fisting it this week. And I'm doing so because I'm hoping to contrast two very distinctly different styles of Bordeaux with you. There is so much to know about Bordeaux. I mean, volumes and volumes of information to know about Bordeaux. So we need to jump right in. Chapter 1. I'm kidding. Of course, we're not going to go over this huge thing today. But clearly, I could go into detail for weeks and weeks talking about Bordeaux and everything there is to know. I'm going to cover today what I think are just the absolute basics that are going to help you get by. And what I want for you is to have Bordeaux be a little bit demystified and to have a little bit more comfort into exploring an area that I adore. And what a lot of people don't realize about Bordeaux, because we think of big names like Chateau, which goes for $3,000 a bottle. This one cost 18. 95% of all wines that come from Bordeaux are basically value wines that are really accessible for all of us to purchase. So we're going to spend a little bit of time going into some geography. Bear with me, this is not going to be as bad as it sounds, but it is vital for us to understand some key aspects about Bordeaux. So first off, Bordeaux is in the southwest corner of France. We're near the Pyrenees Mountains, near the Atlantic Ocean, and near Spain. It is made up of 300,000 acres of vineyards. So that's about the same size as the entire city of Los Angeles. So pretty significant landmass. They produce 900 million bottles of wine per year, worth about $5 billion. So yeah, it's kind of a big deal. Now, as you can see on this map, there is the Dordogne and the Garonne River. These meet up with the Gironde, forming the largest estuary in Western Europe. It's kind of in the shape of an upside down Y. And the reason this matters is because Bordeaux wines are often referred to as left bank or right bank wines. You'll see this on restaurant menus sometimes as well. In short, they get these nicknames based on which side of the river they come from. All right, no more geography. Let's talk about some music. How is it Bordeaux is like the Beatles? Well, Bordeaux, like all of France and quite frankly most of Europe, is governed by some very old agricultural laws. And in Bordeaux, the winemakers can make their varietals however they want. They can blend however they want. However, they are only legally allowed to grow up to 6 different grapes there. Those grapes are Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Petit Verdot, Malbec, and Carignan. Malbec and Carignan really aren't grown that much anymore, way less than 2% even of all the vines in Bordeaux anymore. Merlot makes up 66% of all the vines planted in Bordeaux. So that's kind of your John Lennon of the group. Your Paul McCartney is the Cabernet Sauvignon, makes up 22%, but man, does it provide a lot of structure and body to some of these wines. Your Ringo Starr is the Cabernet Franc. It's only about 10% of the grapes, but it helps really round out some of these wines and add a little bit of flair. And Petit Verdot at about 2% of the production is kind of your George Harrison. It's always there, it's always around, but the camera's only on him about 2% of the time. So the other thing that really strikes me about Bordeaux and why I like this analogy is that these wines, when blended together, can make just amazing different wines in completely different ways. And I don't even necessarily like the Beatles, and maybe you're saying, Scott, I don't really care about the Beatles either. I'm more of a Pearl Jam, Black Keys kind of guy, but I have to respect the Beatles for what they did and the groundbreakingness that they were and how they were just one of the most influential bands of all time. We see Bordeaux's influence all over the world now. You see it in the Super Tuscan wines in Italy, and you see it particularly all around the US. Cabernet Sauvignon is huge here. So that's why I kind of like the Paul McCartney example, is that Cabernet blended together with some other varietals can be really, really amazing, but we've taken it on its own solo act here in the US, and it is thriving. And I think you can see some great examples of Bordeaux blends in the US as well. You see them in Washington, you see them in California, and you see them in South America, Australia, all over the place. So Bordeaux, extremely influential in wine across the globe. All right, let's get to the tasting. I've got two different Bordeaux's here, right bank and left bank. This right bank Bordeaux is from Chateau, Roc de Becot, and this is from the region of Emilion in the right bank. It is about 95% Merlot and a little bit Cab Franc. Chateau Cantemerle is one of my all-time favorites. This is, as you can maybe see here on the top, this is one of the classified growths of 1855. I don't want to get into the whole classification system, but know that there's about 60 classified growths on the left bank. So out of 6,000 chateaus in all of Europe, or in all of Bordeaux, 60 of them have first through fifth growth status. This happens to be one of them. This is using all four of the primary grapes. So this is 50% Cabernet Sauvignon, about 40% Merlot, a little bit of Cabernet Franc, and a little bit of Petit Verdot. This is the 2018 and this is the 2010. So I am contrasting in about every way imaginable. We've got Merlot based, we've got Cab based, we've got young, we've got old, we've got right bank, we've got left bank. 2 years old, 10 years old. I think this is 14.5% alcohol and 13% alcohol. So vastly different wines. Let's get to it. We're gonna go with the right bank first. So starting with our right bank wine, this is lovely, nice red. It's kind of in between a ruby and a garnet. It's really pretty, such a clear color. I can see a little bit behind it. Nice gradation, if you will. It's not looking really orange. I mean, you can tell the youth from this color. Let's give it a smell. Okay, pretty full-bodied nose. I'm not getting a ton. It's a little tight, and being that this is a 2018 and I just opened it, I'm not terribly surprised. Maybe a little bit of cherry, but like a dark cherry. You know what? Have you ever had those candies that's it's like the chocolate covered cherries that they're like a darker cherry, and maybe there's a little filling in it. Kind of reminds me of those. I'm a little bummed. I'm not getting as much on this nose as I would have expected. It's nice, but it's a little tight, and I'm wondering if I either need to decant this or maybe just need to age a little bit. Let's give it a taste. It is dry. Acid level's pretty good, kind of a medium-high acid. It's very tannic, and younger Bordeaux wine, I'm not too surprised. Like, I can, look at that. I mean, my gums, or my lips just want to stick to my teeth because of how dried out everything is in my mouth right now. 14.5% alcohol. It's coming through. I'm getting kind of a hot finish. Not bad. Fruit-wise, yeah, I'm getting that dark cherry. I like it. Actually, you know what it reminds me of more now is, like, I haven't had a cherry Coke in forever, but it kind of reminds me of a cherry cola. Little leathery. I'm getting some of the nuances of the oak in there as well. Pretty much all Bordeaux wines are going to be aged in oak. My guess is this one was probably about 9 months worth. I think I looked it up and remember it from earlier in the week. So 9 months in oak, probably. So a little bit of those oaky notes. It's still a little tight. I mean, the fruit's nice, but I just feel like this is restrained. Something's something's holding it back. Getting some vegetal components now, but it's not a very complex wine. It's nice. I would say this is going to go just fine with food later, but yeah, I'm a little bummed. I was hoping this was going to be more exciting than it is. And please don't get me wrong. Right bank wines, I know it's heavy on the Merlot, and for some people, you think of sideways and you're not drinking your Merlot, but man, I mean, you can't see it here. Well, sure you can. I'll show you real quick. Those are almost all right banks. I mean, there's so much Bordeaux there. I probably totally screwed up that camera angle. Anyway, on to the left bank. Here we go. Well, that's interesting. So again, this is a 2010. I really can't tell by looking at it. This looks almost exactly the same as the other one. That's pretty cool. God, I love this wine. I cannot wait to smell and taste. I haven't had the 2010 in a year or two. Okay, here we go. Oh, I wish you could be here with me for this. Oh my God, that smells amazing. Oh, I just want to be alone right now. Oh, I'm speechless. This smells so good. All right, I got to focus here. I'm going to get a little nostalgic, and none of you are going to know what this means. Maybe some of you will. There are certain wines that have a very distinct personal smell to me, and this one has it. My grandfather's house in Seattle, when we'd go visit in the summer, we'd go into what was his cellar, and it was actually like a partly unfinished basement, and there was dirt in there, and there was wood, and it was like his workshop, and my dad stored some wines in there, and it had this smell that every time I walked in there, I just loved it. And this smells like my grandpa's cellar, and believe me, that sounds better it's better than it sounds. Okay, so there's truffle, there's forest floor, there's some leatheriness and dustiness, and there's some dark fruits like blackberry, blackcurrant. God, that smells good. I hope this taste doesn't disappoint me. All right, here we go. That is so freaking delicious. Oh, okay. It's got balance in every way you can imagine. The acidity is just perfect. It's a little lighter in acidity than the other one. The tannins are so smooth. Like rubbing the tongue against the roof of my mouth, it's got a little sandpaper feeling, but a nice fine sandpaper, not really coarse. The alcohol's perfect. No heat on this at all. And I'm still tasting the finish on this. It is awesome. It's got those black fruits, it's got leather, it's got nice truffles and mushrooms, and there's this green bell pepper element, which is usually the Cabernet coming through. I'm getting some chocolate, I'm getting some vanilla, I'm getting the oak. Oh, there's so much going on here. This is phenomenal. I'm gonna take another sip because, dear Lord. Oh. Again, I wish you guys could be here with me for this. God, that's a good wine. Oh my goodness, that's a good wine. And it's 10 years old, and you wouldn't guess it by looking at it, you wouldn't guess it by smelling it. Looking at these two right now, there's no way of knowing. I literally put the left bank wine on my left and the right bank one on my right. You cannot tell a difference looking at the color. That one's 2018, the other one's 2010. You can smell it in the nose though. My goodness, they don't smell anything alike. And this was exactly the point, and I'm so glad I did this. I normally just do one bottle, but these are just night and day. And again, the right bank's not bad. Don't get me wrong. This is not a bad wine. This is more red fruit and more that cherry. This is just more that dark fruit and that, oh, they're both good, but man, if this were a competition, there would be a clear winner. So, all right, I gotta give my final verdict here, and I'm probably clapping a little too much. Sorry if that's too loud. Okay. The Saint-Emilion, the right bank, I'm giving this a 5.5. Five's average, five's acceptable, five's, it's good, in the good range. There's nothing wrong with it. For $18, I would totally recommend someone get this. And I think I'm really curious to try this again in like 30 minutes after it's been open a little bit. And if I had decanted this and let it really open up, I think I might have a different impression of it. So I reserve the right to score this later in my digital edits here. But right now I'm giving it a 5.5. My left bank, 8.5. This is just phenomenal. This is so good. I'm gonna stop talking about it. It's so good. When you're doing food and wine pairings with Bordeaux, steak is just perfect. Steak and frites, like duck fat fries. Oh man, I can't imagine anything much better. Anything with braised or grilled beef, I think is just going to be perfect with this. So have a Bordeaux, have a glass of Bordeaux, have a nice cut of steak. You're not going to regret it. This is fun. I'm so glad I did this. I hope you guys are enjoying this as well. Thank you. We have just scratched the surface of what there is to know about Bordeaux, but I want to leave you with one last tip to really help you be more confident ordering a bottle of Bordeaux at a restaurant or pick one out in a wine store. So this is going to take 12 seconds, but I got to go back to the map. But from here on out, you will always remember the difference between left and right bank wines. So here's the left bank. It is to the left of the right bank wines. Keep going to the left, you hit the Atlantic Ocean. Keep going to the left and you hit the United States, where we love Cabernet Sauvignon. So look at that. The French were kind enough to put our favorite varietal closest to us. Left bank wines, closest to the US, they are cab based. The right bank wines, they're Merlot based. And I want you to know one region of all the 65 regions that make up Bordeaux, I want you to know one region, and that is Saint-Emilion, the right bank wine we had today. So going back to the restaurant menu, the one we looked at earlier showed left bank and right bank and made it a little easier for us, but most restaurants actually don't do that. So they're going to list all the different appellations next to the wine. So if you remember Saint-Emilion, you know that that is going to be a right bank wine. There is a 90% chance on a restaurant menu, if it does not say Saint-Emilion, all those other ones are going to be left bank wines. So there you go. Hopefully that helps you ordering your wines at a restaurant. Now, when you're at a wine store and you just want to value play, some bottles in like the $10, $20 range just say Bordeaux on it. It doesn't say Saint-Emilion or any of the other regions. There's a higher level of quality wine known as Bordeaux Superior. It's just a couple dollars more and it is worth the extra price. So get a Bordeaux Superior. You're still spending probably under $20, but you are getting a very good to drink young, smooth, well-rounded wine that's very easy to like. Bordeaux Superior when you're at a wine store. Saint-Emilion is the one you need to know when you're at a restaurant. There you go. There's your Bordeaux tips of the week. I cannot believe we are finishing up the first month of wine this week. What's really cool though is alphabetically, we are going to start off the next month with 3 straight Bordeaux varietals. Cab Franc, Cab Sauvignon, Carmenere, and then finishing off with a lovely sparkling wine from Spain known as Cava. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. If so, give me a like below and subscribe if you haven't done so. Add any comments you might have for me. As always, keep trying new wines. And until next time, cheers.